Today we're going to take the virtual tour behind the scenes to find out how this little baby turns into be a big tree that you can take home and decorate for Christmas. Today we're at Helms Christmas Tree Farm to learn about the behind the scenes of getting your Christmas tree. With us is Mr. Henry Helms.
Good morning. I hope everybody's feeling well. Just a few facts about the Christmas tree farms. I started this farm in 1972. This was part of my grandfather's land, which I purchased from my parents a few years after they received it, and started planting Christmas trees. Ever since that time, these are perpetual fields here that as we cut a tree, we plant a tree. You can see here in the foreground, the real baby trees, and then we have them all different sizes. If you get a chance to pan around, you can see that this time of year, all of our larger trees have already been taken, and now we're ready to come along with the smaller ones. You can see that we have various sizes trees out here that that represents the ages that they are. Most of the trees will grow approximately 12 inches a year, or we hold them to 12 inches a year to make them be nice and thick and pretty for Christmas trees. Normally these trees do not grow like this. We have to help Mother Nature, and we've been very fortunate to have research that has helped us with this. And of course we do research here on this farm too. We have about 6 different species of trees. All are very nice for Christmas trees. That's predominantly what we do. Trees are very important to the world. They produce oxygen. It helps clean the air, and so we try to keep trees just exactly the way we want them. The root system helps to hold the ground together. It helps cool the ground, and you can see here we have a nice green ground cover of clover, which also helps produce nitrogen that goes back into the soil and to keep the unwanted weeds and grasses out. I hope everybody has a good experience when they come over. We normally open a week before Thanksgiving and go until Christmas, provided that we have the inventory enough to do that. This year it's been a little bit tighter, and people were wanting to come out earlier, and so our inventory right now is very, very low. But for next year, we'll be right back right here ready for you.
Mr. Helms, let me ask, so I love the little baby trees. They look like the little Charlie Brown trees, but how do you plant those? Is it from a seed, or how do they start as babies?
Well, they start off as a seed. They're planted in beds and just sown out like you would any other seed. They stay in that bed for 2 years, and at that time they're pulled as transplants. They're ready to be planted. Now this tree right here it's been 2 years in the bed, and we planted it last January. So it's just now getting started, looking good. And you can see right here is a real small one. This was planted this past year, and that one over there was planted the year before. So you can see the progression as they grow up. Now that tree right there is 5 years old already.
So this one's a 5-year-old tree.
Yes, ma'am.
So what type of tree is this?
This is a white pine.
Okay.
White pines normally grow 18 to 24 inches a year, and that's where they set their buds. You can see here maybe it's got 4 laterals and 1 main terminal. Now your branches will spread out from here. They will not be in your branches from where it was cut last year to here. So that's the reason we keep it at 12 inches, so it will fill out. As you can see from larger ones around, that they are nice and full.
I notice you have a piece of blue tape around the top of some of them. What is the purpose for the blue tape around there?
Okay, quite under this particular tree right here had It did not have a good main terminal. It had two branches that would fork out sort of like this, and we used the tape to pull them in and cut one shorter than the other to make sure that we have a dominant trunk to go on up in future years.
It's important to have this so when you put your star on your Christmas tree at your house or whatever, your angel, so it's really important to have one of these as you decorate your tree. So when you cut them down, we noticed that there was the little trunks, and they have a sticky substance on the top. What is that?
That is a sap that helps make the tree grow. I mean, like we got blood, trees got sap. It is a very sticky substance. When you're working on them, you can't help but get it all over your hands, but it comes off real easy.
Okay, so let's just say for the children or the adults that may be watching, next year hopefully everything's back to normal. So I think it's good to say it's a family event, so they can come as a family. Do they go through the field and they get to pick their own tree? How does that process work?
Most definitely. We encourage people, and it started about 10 or 15 years ago, where people decided they would like to go out and cut their own tree. And this started a family tradition. I've got several families that are 3 generations deep now. That's a pretty long time, and they love to come out here because there's no weeds and briars and stuff for them to walk through and get tangled up in. We keep this ground just like a lawn, as you can see out here now. I like to keep everything nice and neat, and it's really easy for people to come. When they come out, we give them a saw and tell them where the trees are and what to look for as far as sizes. A lot of people cannot tell size, but they've got nothing to compare it to out here. So we give people a sheet of paper that gives them the size and the color of the tag. The color of the tag tells you a lot about the trees when you're looking for them. Number one, it tells you the height of it, and it tells you the cost of it. And those are the 2 main things that we people want to know. We do request that they cut them within 2 inches of the ground, so that we can pull those stumps up. If you cut it any higher up, then you lose height of your tree, and sometimes would have to cut more branches off the tree, which might not be as desirable as what you thought you were going to get. So it is very important to cut the tree at the proper height, give us a chance to pull the stump out, because that's the way we remove the stumps, and then we plant a tree right back in that exact same space. You can see, if you pan around here, you can see that all the trees are in straight lines. In any way that you look at them, there's a row of trees.
What's the reason for planting in rows?
For easy cultivation. We have to naturally keep the grass mowed. We have to fertilize, and occasional spray for individual pests as they come along. I've done it long enough that I know when certain pests are going to come, and I'm prepared for them.
For our younger kids that might be watching, you're saying for cultivation. What exactly are you referring to on a younger level?
Well, cultivation is nothing more than keeping the land in good order. For instance, for this, you want to keep it mowed, keep the weeds from growing up in the trees, because that takes nutrition away from the tree when you do that. So we control. That's the reason we have clover on these fields, because it actually puts something back into the soil, nitrogen. Weeds take it away.
So the nitrogen is sort of like food. If you're wondering, the nitrogen provides food for the roots, and for the soil it provides the food that it needs to grow. One question too, these are beautiful trees, but those are very beautiful, but when they get that size, of course, unless you have a huge house, I don't think you're going to cut that for your Christmas tree. So what do you do with trees that size?
We used to make garland out of them. One particular year, I can remember that I rolled over 5 miles of garland. Now you consider that to be the halfway here to Lincolnton. That's a long way.
5 miles is a long way.
But we haven't had a real problem with the large trees. You can see most of what we've got here now are big trees. There's no intermediate trees, but we do have a lot of calls for bigger trees. I just took one to South Carolina here a few weeks ago that was 21 foot tall. Just took another one to Miami, Florida that was 17 foot tall.
Wow. What's the largest tree that you've ever or sold to someone, would you say?
24 foot.
24 feet. So you have the white pine trees. Is there any other varieties that you have?
Yes, we have the Leland cypress and the green giant, the blue ice, and the Colorado blues, and the white pines, of course. And I have one big pine over there in the corner that you can see when you first came in. That is a loblolly pine.
With these trees, I think it's fascinating to me that it grows in rings. And do you have to do any type of special work to make it grow in rings, or is this the type of tree?
Well, it typically grows in rings, but in most stands of white pine, they're not pruned, so the length, sometimes we'll have a tree that'll grow 18 to 24 inches, like this, where there's going to be no branches in here, so it wouldn't make a good Christmas tree. But if you cut it off, wherever you cut it off, there'll be another brand of branches come out. So the shorter you cut them each year, the thicker they'll be, but it takes longer to grow it that way too. 12 inches is an optimum size. You can look at any of these little trees around here. They're all cut at 12 inches. So they make a nice, pretty tree.
Okay, so let's just to sum it up, from the baby, when you plant the baby, to when would someone be able to take this tree to their living room and decorate it? How many years?
Normally about 6 years. Like say when you grow 12 inches a year, that's 5 to 6 foot, and that's what we don't normally cut anything under 5 to 6 foot. Give them a chance to make a nice living room tree. Some people want a smaller one for their kids' bedroom or whatnot, and that's okay too. We don't encourage that because we want them to get a little bit bigger and nicer trees, because you can see a real small tree like that doesn't have a lot of branches, doesn't have a whole lot of structure. Now this tree will keep to grow on out. And one thing I might point out is that when you cut this limb off here, it will produce more buds just like this. So you take this one limb here, you cut it, it's going to make 5 new branches, and the one beside it's going to make 5 new branches. So look just how fast it's going to grow and fill out and get real thick. You take this tree here is a little bit thinner, but you turn right around and look over there and you see one that's really, really thick.
So now we've talked about the importance. We know trees are important for our environment and how much time you spend getting them ready from the ground up to take it home. So now Christmas is over and we're taking the decorations down, and people always think, what do I do with my tree? What do you recommend that people do with their trees after Christmas?
Well, they can take them to a recycling center or take them to the landfill, and they will grind them up for mulch and give it back to you if you want it.
And I think through our office, another thing that people do with their Christmas trees is they use them, they can put them in the lake along the shore banks, and this helps with the fish habitat.
It does.
So there's things that you can do even after the tree's over. There's things that you can use these little trees to help with our environment as well.
And a lot of people leave them in the stand and set them out back and put bird feed in them. The birds and the squirrels, they love that kind of stuff.
So as far as nature too, you were talking about animals that come around. What type of animals like to come and eat eat on the trees? Do deer like to eat these kind of trees?
The deer love these kind of trees. their preference is to eat one when it's like this small, or just right after it starts to break bud in the spring of the year. In February, March, April, the deer will come along and nip the top out of it, and that ends the growth of it. It will not grow anymore after they bite it. I mean, you can cut down below it and try to get it to grow again, but it just will not. There's something about their saliva, something that kills that tree. It will not grow anymore. Here we have skunks that love to eat the grubs. The bees, the wasps, and hornets, they love this area too because of the insects that are in there. The bees eat the aphids, and so it's just a vicious cycle. You know, who's going to eat who first.
So we spent this time learning about the trees and the production at Helms Christmas Tree Farm. So if you don't have a tradition of going and getting the trees, maybe that's something you would like to start, to come out in the nature. It's beautiful outside today. It's a beautiful hillside. You can see the trees. Not only now, maybe if you think about the importance of Christmas trees, maybe you can remember just how important trees are to our everyday life. So we hope you've enjoyed our time at the Christmas Tree Farm. Mr. Helms, what would you like to close with the folks, letting them know about your farm?
We enjoy having people come out, even in the summertime when it's not Christmas time, not ready to get a tree, but just to enjoy the little bit of God's green earth that we have produced here. Also, we have blueberries in the summertime, starting the second week in June. We let people come out and pick their own blueberries. That's getting to be a big thing too, because, well, just like coming to the farm, you know, our prices are priced to encourage people to come out and get closer to nature and see how things are actually produced rather than going to the grocery store.
This is Helms Christmas, or I think it's Christmas Tree Farm and Blueberry Farm.
Yes.
We're on John Beam Road in Vail. So if you want to look him up, do you have a web page or a website that you can?
We do. It's Helms Christmas Tree Farm. We like to make things simple, easy for you to find us. You know, even if you pull up on the internet tree farms, you know, you'd find me. We're listed on a lot of different sites, NCDACS, and so forth. So we hope that everybody will come see us, you know, even if it's in the heat of summer. Like people to enjoy just the grounds that we have here.